All right, I cannot believe that I feel comfortable enough to do this, but I think I can make a guide on a road course for the ARCA car. I'm feeling pretty good actually. Done a lot of practice and got a lot of tips from a lot of people a lot better than me. So this is week 4 ARCA at Lime Rock, and we're going to be starting with this is lap 2. No run up basically. The way I run the turn in the lap is basically how I run the run up. There's no run up really. So let's play the lap and then we'll talk about it in the far chase about all the braking markers and little tips that I found out while running way too many laps here for time attack and practice. So I'll shut up and you can watch for now. All right, and that's going to finish the lap for a 51.819. My best one. And let's go ahead and I'll go to the far chase and we will start talking about this. So, not long after the start finish line, just before the 6 is our one and only really hard braking zone. Oh, and by the way, I am liking 62% on the brake bias, which is out of the ordinary for me when there's really hard braking zone. Normally I can't control anything like less than 70, but for some reason it grips up really nicely here actually and doesn't get squirrely at all. Just obviously keep the wheel very straight. So I'm up to around 90, 95% brake. And then trailing that off, you want to drop it down right before you turn in to about 20% to try to get that maximum, grip from the trail brake. So you're not overloading the wheels with too much brake, but they still have a lot of load on them. So they're gripping up really nicely when the brake's about 20% pressure. I don't like to touch this curb. There's not many curbs that I think you can touch here. Don't want to touch this one either. And you want to do a diamond line here. So pretty close to the curb, out about a car width, and then diamonding it down again in first gear. Forgot to mention that. Shifting down to second as you're braking, and then somewhere in this turn, I think right as I'm like halfway through this curb, I'm downshifting to first. I found that gives me a lot more grip, and it's a lot faster in this section. You just have to be a lot more careful. I was running second gear all the way through initially, and this gained me like 0.2 of a second. All right. And okay, this turn here, I also want to diamond it. And I find that I don't have to go all the way to the right. It doesn't gain me any extra time. I'm still able to get a nice diamond here, and the times are about the same. Maybe that's going to be different for other people. This is one curb you can touch, I find, especially if you're in second gear. In second gear with no engine braking, or less engine braking than when you're in first gear, this really helps you turn. So in first gear, you can still get into it, just got to be more careful. you can tell, just look at my throttle trace. I'm really feathering it through here. Then you're going to do just a little lift as you go here. Do not touch that curb. You want to get fairly wide here. I probably could have done a little bit wider because you want to go really straight into this next turn so you can hold the power down 100%. If you're not super straight, you're going to have to lift a little, and that's going to cost time. I do a tiny lift there because, I should have been a little wider. This is an uphill turn. I know, the braking marker here is fine, I think. This is a fine turn, actually. Do not touch this curb. It's very bad. And notice when I'm going up this hill, when I'm getting to the top, you got to do just a little bit of a throttle blip or the car's going to get super light and spin out to the right. So you got to just blip it for a little bit. And then as soon as you feel the car settle, you can get back on the power. So you'll notice, I did a little bit of a blip there. Now this is my worst turn. I brake just a little bit too early. It's just not a good one for me for whatever reason. So I would actually probably start braking up here if you're comfortable with this turn. But me, I'm always braking a little bit early and kind of underdriving the entry. It's the one spot where I lose time against like the really fast guys, it seems. And then here, yeah, just a light braking corner. Do not touch this curb either. This is very bad. It will just jut you up and out. And you can get on this curbing too, of course. And I think that's pretty much everything. One thing I want to point out with most of my braking markers, I think this is a good one to show. So my braking style, I'm not super good at braking on roads. So what I like to do is I kind of like to bring up the brake kind of gradually. You'll notice I have a slant to my brake, whereas the really good guys are like straight up and down. So if you're the type of person that's really good at braking, basically all my braking markers, you could probably go a car length, half a car length further. But for me, I'm using this really noob friendly technique where I kind of bring the brakes up more gradually and slowly, never use maybe as much brake pressure as the really good guys, so I can kind of prolong my good trail braking like brake amount, if that makes sense. You want to be 10 to 20% when you're doing your turn-ins to have maximum grip and turn. So this is kind of this noob friendly technique that I saw on YouTube. I wish I could remember the guy's name because it was a great video where basically you just kind of have more uh, how do you say margin of error. I have just a better chance that I'm going to be able to do my turn in when I have like a really good grip brake pressure, rather than if I try to brake like a pro, I might miss my braking marker, and then I'm going to be turning when I'm either off the brakes or over driving entry. So that's just a note I wanted to give. If you're better at braking, you can brake a little later than me. And if you're not great at braking, this might be kind of a technique you look into. Instead of mashing the brakes hard like a pro and then trying to make a perfect trail brake, give up maybe a hundredth or two of a second a turn, but you never really make a bad mistake and give up tons of time. It's just you're always giving up just a tiny bit of time. And I find this technique really good for me on this track. I just started using it this week and it gained me a bunch of time. So I just wanted to say that. Also, I want to give a shout out to Carl Sampson, uh, who helped me a lot and gave me tons of pointers and let me look at some of his laps and probably gave me 2 to 3 tenths easily. So thank you to him. I'm sure I'll thank him on the thumbnail. Hopefully I remember. Yeah, that's it. I look forward to racing this a few times. I think it's going to be fun. See you guys out there. Hopefully we're on the front row. Hopefully this is a good time. I think it is. But I will see you guys next time.